When you're a parent, I'm a parent now, everybody wants to either give you advice or get advice from you. All of a sudden, people are finally open to sharing resources and wisdom. And mostly it's cliches. Be present. Don't blink. Somebody told me don't blink. Actually, you don't want me to blink? Because it goes so fast. Um, you have to be playful. You have to make up games and songs and stories, and advice might be like, get this diaper, or don't do this type of feeding, or get a crib, or don't get a crib. And there's so much, right? So much advice. And I was really thinking about this just yesterday. I was driving and I'm like, man, what advice actually is helpful across the board for parenting? And I sat with that for a while. I was on a longer drive, had the baby in the back, and I was really just thinking, what advice would I want to receive? What advice would I want to give? What advice do I think would really add value to someone in their journey of parenthood? I stayed with it a little bit longer. And what came through for me is what inspired this video. What came through for me, it was actually as an adult who's been very committed to my own healing journey, and also being connected to others who are very committed to their journey to wholeness, to overcoming trauma, or to rewiring their nervous system, or reparenting themselves. That's a big part of how people heal as adults, is reparenting by giving themselves what they didn't get as a child. And so that is the perspective that I want to take as I share the advice that I think would be helpful for any parent at any stage of parenthood. Because by following the advice I'm about to share, your child, again, regardless whether they're 6 months old or 16 years old, or 60 years old, as a child, following this advice, they will be more likely to be healthy, to be feeling confident and whole within themselves, um, to have a regulated, balanced nervous system, to be a contributing member of society and in healthy relationships, and maybe even feel really confident and capable to create a family of their own. And so this advice, comprehensive, but also really, again, from the perspective of what is an adult who was wounded as a child? What are the things that they're working through? And so then by really consciously choosing to be a parent who's a stand for these things that I'm about to share, that child will more likely be feeling whole and confident, positive self-esteem, and from that place have really beautiful life and relationships with self and with others. Okay? So that's the frame. Going to make this easy or easier. And so there's an acronym for the word advice. 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 Let's break it down. The A stands for attachment. As a parent, I advise you to learn about attachment and do what you can to foster a secure attachment style with your child. Okay? In my experience of attachment, I grew up, and actually I didn't necessarily get all of my needs met. And so I actually grew up and became a rather avoidant in my attachment style. So I got in a pattern in my relationships and my way of existing in the world of withdrawing and getting my own needs met because it wasn't safe or available to ask or to get my needs met from others. So I grew up avoidant, and I've been working my butt off for years to gravitate more towards a secure attachment style. Another popular one is anxious attachment. And so if someone's very needy, if they as a little one, their needs were either inconsistently met or they were not met in a way that was reliable. And then there's an anxiousness like, ooh, am I going to get my needs met? And then that will continue to show up in their life and in relationships. Okay, so as a parent, first and foremost, understand your attachment style. And then from that place, do what you can to gravitate and move towards secure. It's a lifelong journey in many ways. But the more that you can be on that path and model that and embody that, that will be what you pass along to your child. A secure attachment style, secure in themselves, able to express their needs, their emotions, without fear of losing trust or losing connection to their caretaker. Or again, as they get older, losing trust or losing connection in their intimate relationships. Okay, so they'll be solid in themselves, that know their boundaries, they know how to communicate, and a lot of this does stem from having experienced and grown up with secure attachment. Also, I just want to share, no matter where you are on the spectrum of any of the components that I share, my invitation to you is to have compassion for yourself, to start wherever you're at. Okay, we can't change the past. We can honor and have grace for where we're at in this moment, in the present, and we can set our direction for where we want to head in the future. Okay, with a little bit of awareness and by following this advice. Okay, so A is attachment. As a parent, to understand attachment and do what you can to be a more secure attachment figure. Okay, moving on. D. So I had two ideas for D, and they're connected. I'll share the first one. D, decisiveness. Okay, learning how to make decisions. Again, a lot of adults are still struggling, like moment to moment, like, ooh, is this best for me, or is that should I wear jeans or khakis? Do I need to wear shorts outside, or is it a pants day? Like they're looking for someone to tell them and what decisions to make, because there's a lack of inner authority and inner trust, and an inner lack of connection to one's intuition. And so by giving them the gift of learning how to make decisions for themselves and to be decisive, to be clear, like, oh yeah, this is where I'm at, this is what I need, and then boom, I can make a decision from that place. It can be as simple as like, what am I going to eat today? What am I going to wear? Where do I want to live? Who do I want to date? What do I want to study? Like, there's so many decisions, and a lot of adults who have maybe that power has been taken away from them, they grow up either seeking outside of themselves, looking for somebody to tell them what decisions to make, because it's not so easy to access that from within, likely from experiences of either being told what to do or being told what not to do, but not given like the trust and the authority within oneself to make decisions. So if you have a little one, it can be really simple. Like, you can present them with a few options and let them make a choice. Would you like to wear this or that? Or help them to understand, like, to zoom out, right? And a child or a teenager doesn't have a fully developed prefrontal cortex, so some of their decision making isn't always so rational. As adults, we can give them that gift of our more developed brain. And so in this case, we can frame a few options, like, oh, if you if you want to study this subject, here are different job opportunities that could present themselves, or here's different skills that you'd have to acquire. Does that sound interesting to you? Right? Have some sort of a dialogue around decision making. Another D that's connected to that is discernment. Really being able to know your compass from within, but then to discern of all the options, which one is really aligned for me, right? And there's so many factors when it comes to like really discerning and making a clear choice for oneself. But that's a muscle. That's something that practice over a lifetime, or even a few years, or even sometimes it could be just one major opportunity where you have the chance to make a personal choice and feel empowered to do that. Like, what a gift. And so again, adults, we can give that to our children, and then as they get older, they will be more effective decision makers. Okay? So we've got A, attachment, D, decisiveness, decision making, discernment, a lot of good D there. Brings us to the third is V. This one I get excited by. V, if I can give you some advice as a parent, is to validate your child, to really see them, honor them, express to them, like give them the gift of your adoration and your validation. So many adults, again, growing into their 20s and 30s, they're just looking to be seen, to be validated. They just want, like, if my, there's this wound, this gaping wound that, like, oh, my mom never said I love you, or my dad never accepted me for who I was. I was never validated for the choices that I made or the preferences that I had. And so the gift of validation from a young age, or whatever age your children are at now, I see you. I appreciate you. I respect you. I'm proud of you. Again, acknowledgement is just another form of validation, right? Otherwise, we go looking for a partner or a relationship, someone who's going to see us, or we take to social media. Even, being here, it's like, oh, I want to be seen. I want to be validated. I want, like, my opinion and my perspective and my experiences that I'm sharing to have impact, to matter to someone. And what a gift if the significance and the impact can be from our parental figure, for them to say, wow, I see you. I really appreciate you. Nice job. I know in my own experience, my mom has always validated me. Really, I felt so supported from a young age from my mother. And my dad is that language is not so accessible for him. But I've gotten some letters over the years, especially in like pivotal life transitions for myself, where he's written really beautiful sentiments around how proud he is of me. And he says, I love you in those letters. And again, just a little bit of validation of like, I see you, goes a long way. So again, that we, we grow from children into teenagers and adults and parents ourselves, we feel seen. We feel like the choices we've made and maybe the sacrifices or just the path that we've taken has been validated. Gonna pause for a moment just to feel what's coming through. All right, we've got attachment, we've got decisiveness, we've got validation, and that brings us to I. And the I here is if I could give you advice to your child, to how you raise your child and support them and nurture them, is to let them individuate. The I is individuation. Okay, let them be an individual. There's so many conditions that we put on our young ones coming from our own family systems. There are strong egos and identities like, oh, you must be this religion, or you must have this worldview. You must wear this type of clothing. You should, right? And when we do that, we really smother them. We don't let them individuate. We don't let them uniquely become themselves and create and express and make mistakes and have experiences that maybe we wouldn't have chosen for them. Maybe we thought we know better, but ultimately they have to experience that for themselves, right? That's a part of individuation. Otherwise, your children will grow up and they'll still be children, right? Because they're still feeling like, oh, I have to please and appease my parents, my family, my community. I can't do what I really want to do at my core. And at some point, it'll burst. That they'll have to leave their family. They'll have to leave their job. Whatever their thing is, they'll have to shake it all up so that they can find their unique self. But if we, from an early stage, allow them to individuate, to become, then they will have that permission from their parents, from their family, from a young age, and that'll just give them opportunities to really blossom and to become their authentic self. If they're just wearing some personality or a mask, they're just carbon copies of you as their parent or their siblings or their classmates. There isn't a true authenticity in their being. And so my advice to you, really nurture and support and encourage individuation. Let them be different. Celebrate their differences. All right, moving on. We've got attachment, decisiveness, validation, individuation. And the C is connection. Again, as children to teenagers becoming adults and adults who maybe are looking to, again, find wholeness within themselves, they're seeking connections. They're looking to connect with like-minded or like-hearted individuals or communities or even geographies, like connecting with a land, because maybe they didn't feel so connected to where they're from. Oh yeah, I was born in this place, but I'm really not connected there. Right? And connection is something that, even thinking about the love languages, like quality time spent together is really from a place of connection. And we all need that as humans, and tribal ones at that. We need connection. And in a digital age, and with just the gap of preferences and lifestyles, it can be really hard to connect. Right? If you're like a 45-year-old dad and you have a 3-year-old, it's like, how do I connect with this being? Right? Just as an example, but find ways, meaningful ways to connect, so that as they get older, they feel like they have really a genuine relationship with you. You're not just their parent, you really have a connection. And that goes a layer deeper too. It's like, okay, if you want to create a connection, you have to work at that. It's a relationship. It's not just, I think we take that for granted. Oh, they're my child, I'm connected to them. Maybe, maybe not. Asking how was school, or what's your homework, or what do you want for dinner, like, it's all surface. It's not real connection. So whether they're obsessed with some game or, a sport, or they love food and they want to explore different culinary outlets, find a meaningful way to connect, and then go the extra step to curate and create experiences to really deepen that connection. Like go on a trip across the world or even across the county, but just like intentionally connect. Okay? It's so important. Those are going to be the memories that are wired in later in life. Those moments of true connection, when you are both present, when you were rallying around a shared interest, or at least you were rallying around their interest. You don't even have to like the thing. Hopefully you do. Hopefully you can connect over something that you both enjoy. But really making connection a priority. Again, otherwise, as an adult, they're going to be seeking ways to connect that maybe are not so conscious or healthy. Right? That's where people get caught in with the wrong crowd. They're just looking for connection because maybe it was absent at home. So you have an opportunity to create connection. And this is also, we don't know how long we're going to be here. Hopefully we have a long life and we can make many beautiful memories and through meaningful connections and connection points with our family, but maybe not. Right? And so there is a bit of an urgency. Like, let's pause, let's zoom out on all the busyness and get to the essence of like what really matters here and how can we connect from that place. And again, these are all related. The attachment piece is related to connection. Decisiveness is related to connection. Validation is related to connection. Individuation, again, if you're honoring their individuation and connecting from that place, what a gift. What a gift. All right, E. E is for empathy. Okay, the advice I could give you as a parent is to have empathy to be able to really feel for your child and to have compassion that life, especially if they're living as an individuated, expressed being, um, it might present them with challenges. And as a parent and a family, if you can meet each other from a compassionate, empathic place and support one another, provide resources, be an open, a safe landing place for them to come and share their woes and their uncertainties and confusion. Um, that is going to lead to more trust, more connection, more love. Empathy is one of the highest forms of emotional intelligence. And so without empathy, when we're cold or robotic or we're shooting on them, oh, you shouldn't have done that, that doesn't lead to more connection. That just pushes them away. And then you wonder why, as they're in their 20s and 30s, they don't want to come spend time with you, or they don't want to go on family vacations anymore because it's not that great to be in your presence. So the more empathic you can be, the more empathy you can show towards your child and really see them as a human. Again, we have so many conditions and labels on them and expectations. Oh, they're my child. They should do this. They should do that. Maybe, but unlikely. What if we just see them as a human who happens to have come through and done life with you and through you, but from that place, letting them go, surrendering and detaching, and seeing them in their humanness. Another gift is just to connect from human to human, without the label and the conditions of parent and child. So that's my advice. I share that with you, whether you're a mom, a dad, or somewhere in between, whether you have little ones, medium ones, big ones, old ones with kids, and you're maybe a grandparent, right? These are still things that matter. Okay, so just to review, advice. If I can give you any advice, understand your attachment. Really encourage decisiveness and support your child in making clear choices and having discernment from a young age. Validate. I see you. I support you. I love you. I honor you. Use your words. You write a note. Do something to validate so that they are not seeking validation for a lifetime. Individuation. Honor their uniqueness, celebrate their differences, and really encourage them to pursue the path that is uniquely their own. Right? And then they will have that permission slip, that freedom from within to really live authentically. See connection. Make it a point to connect. Send a text when you're thinking about them. Invite your child to do something that is of interest to them. Not because you want to do it, but because you know that they want to do it. And get curious. What interests you? And connect from that place for a lifetime. And you'll have a relationship. You'll be friends beyond just parent and child, if you want that. And lastly, have empathy. See them as a human who is also doing this life thing. There's no real roadmap, right? But just really being compassionate for the trials and tribulations and the experiences that they will go through, that they'll have to learn from, and not getting them down in those moments where they just need to receive your support and your love. All right. So that's the advice. Let me know in the comments which component of this you have questions about, which one you are maybe struggling with, which one you are rocking and you want to celebrate. Let me know. And let's create a dialogue so that we can continue to understand what advice really matters in the stage of being a parent and live from that place. All right. Stay at peace, stay at ease, be well, and spread the advice.